Welcome everybody. We're just going live now. Mike has just gone to get his charger, as is the way with technology. So he's just popped out now. You can see at the back, he's got some great stuff in terms of his books on show. He's also left his email. You can see at the bottom of the screen. So if anybody would like to check out his email to get some of that merchandise and books, he does t-shirts, he tells me, and mugs, everything. Unfortunately, he says he's got a problem with his website in a minute, but just email and we can let you know what he's got. So Mike has agreed to do a performance for us tonight, which is really good. We're really looking forward to it. It's been an odd year for people performing, odd 18 months, not even a year actually. He says he's not done that much performing, if any at all, really, just because of the way it's been. But yeah, it's a really nice opportunity for us to be able to host Mike and have him here as part of the festival. In terms of our programme of events we're doing this year, we would have had a full festival this year, but obviously because of the pandemic, we had to put it live. And here's the man himself. You've left me there chatting away for a last minute.
Sure, you can do it fine. Sure, you got it.
Yeah, there he goes. Now, can I ask you, Mike, just to slightly tilt your camera so it's not glaring on your screen? Sorry. Other way. Oh, or maybe you'll get right the first time, sorry. That's it. That's much better. Great. Yeah, Dali is in. Salvador Dali's there. I've just been doing a bit of chat. This is saying that this is part of, I think we've got August and September still to go in terms of artists on the first of each month talking about our work. We've had 2 already. We've got Mike tonight. We've got 2 more to go. But with no further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Mike, and he can then take over, do a performance of several of his works, and then at the end, there's an opportunity for you to ask him questions, but type those in as we go along. Thank you. Over to you, Mike.
Hi, everyone. You know the script. We're on screens. I'll do my best to try and get into your living room in a perfectly legal way with spirit. This is the consequence of our indulgence, our interchangeable lifestyles, of our finger on thumb click existence, of our eating for leisure, wanting it here and now and delivering on a golden cardboard platter. A consequence of our impatience, our sense of omnipotence, our delivery of existence. This is a consequence of our inability to be able to stop and think, and our ability to be animalistic above all things, our Photoshop existence, our inconsistence, but our insistence on just buying clothes and throwing them away, buying clothes and throwing them away, and then buying clothes and throwing them away. Knowing there was song by kids half your kids' age. This is a consequence of cocaine scored on Friday that weekend treat after the end of a long week of phone scrolls through used bog rolls, unfurling shit drips from the silent lips of teenage pics of tits and dicks and twits, and the consequence of false gods, of spiritless existence, of failure to breathe deep. The inability to believe in something unless you actually see, with your fingers in the print of nails and your hands thrust deep into bleeding sides. We sit and stare at the things that cannot be denied. Look, they're there. They're right before our very eyes. This is the consequence of chomping on living things, of cooing at fluffy white lambs on long country walks, then stopping off for Sunday lunch in chocolate box pubs to tear the flesh from scat from thigh with gnashing teeth, or just clubbing the seal on the beach. All part of the same thing. The consequence of glamour, of failed elegance. It's page free, it's cocktails and sparklers, it's discotheques and boutiques, it's limousines and high heels, diamante lifestyle and new teeth and football, the new porn. The consequence of so-called friends you've never met, and telling people you love them when you don't. It's just something you say, something repeated every minute of every day that carries no weight. For love is not a carnival, but a high peak we all attempt to traverse, but very few of us actually reach. It's too steep. It's just way too steep. The consequence of a lack of education and how we're never taught to read. We're just taught to repeat the words we see like sheep. The consequence of sitting kids in rows and teaching them things that just don't want to know. The consequence of snow in April, of winter holidays in the sun, of illusion, of misinterpreted perceptions about oneself, of reading self-help books that convince you that you're great and you can do anything you want when you just can't. And you're actually a bit of a cunt. Consequence of education systems designed without wisdom, bit like the 80s TV show Bullseye, where contestants get a chance to win this week's star prize by throwing 101 with the throw of 9 darts, but no one ever does it, no matter how good they are. And amidst the sadness, the disappointment and the sighs, as the curtain slow rises to reveal this week's star prize, and Jimbo and utters 11 monosyllabic words, profound, philosophical and heartbreakingly observed, just like my education. Come and have a look at what you could have won. The consequence of a celebrity society, of adding nothing and taking so much away, of zero contribution, just lip injected, gut tucked, tit pumped, batty lifted and arse bleached, bleached. I can't believe people are actually having the arse bleach. I can't speak. The consequence of television, social networks, religious channels, begging, beauty channels, making grown-ups dress like children and telling you to stay young and act youthful as face peels reveal nothing youthful. The beauty myth where if you've got enough money, I can actually make you believe that you look like this. The consequence of irresponsible fashion, of clothing without substance, adornment, shit sold to the lonely to make you feel better about yourself and your life and your existence in a world of empty shells and silent voices and empty vacuums, and banging your head against a brick wall of hope and reason. The consequence of a celebrity society totally motivated by money and piles of it and piling it up. The consequence of greed beyond that biological need to make that quick buck and not give a fuck what kid gets shot, what ancient village is torn up, or a flora or a fauna that's now extinct. And the consequence of a society with the inability to think beyond money, the need to pile it up, to count it daily, and to have so much you choke scoffing on mountains of cake and hills of ice cream and sweets crammed in, and the 1,000 cars and the thousands of $50 notes in small mounds, and the house the size of a small town, 28 bedrooms when you live on your own, and you just greed beyond need, and it's eating out of boredom, and we just keep eating and we carry on eating, chomping on skin and flesh and sugar and cake and piling cake in our face. First course, second course, third course, fourth course, cheese and biscuits, grapes shoveled in, spoon fed, stabbed in the face with a fork as cheeks filling up and saliva dripping and snot dripping down cheeks and lips and front, and bean stains on the front of a brand new shirt, and half-eaten drumsticks on laps and pig's trotters for feet and snout for nose, and breadcrumbs for nose, and blood so deep and pouring in like a sinking ship, and we're all just about to drown in it. I'll start with the cheery ones, then move on to the sad ones. This was at Cavendish Road Primary School, circa 1979. This is called Symmetry. That time in Junior 4, a half-time team talk under trees in the sun. We were 4-0 up and gagging for more, and they looked battered, bashed and torn. We hadn't won a game all season. 6 Billy Caspers, 5 Timothy Winters, a raggle-taggle band of immigrant sons with boots crammed tight with stars and suns. As captain, Mr. Wade took me to one side to ask me if I wouldn't mind going easy on the opposition and to appreciate things from their position, for they too had lost every single game and in double figures every single time, and they hadn't scored a single goal, and they all grew up in a special kind of home. Second half. So at 4-1 up and in injury time, a blatant handball on their goal line, a penalty for the captain to take, an example that had to be made. I took a run-up that lasted 44 years and a kick that might have fought out of this hemisphere and into space and beyond a galaxy of stars, and I shook every opposition player's hand, and that ball was never seen again, but it lives with me every single day to show dignity in victory and to respect all those who lose and learn to play at least half the game in the other kids' football boots. I like football. It's always been part of my life. That and poetry has always been a major part of my life. So I like to combine the two where possible. So I've done loads for Match of the Day and World Cup and all those scumbag satellite channels. And I recently did something whereby I tried to work on the idea of the respect campaign, and I interviewed thousands of people, try to see what that whole respect campaign within football was about. And it took a 10-year-old kid I discovered from Urmston, who during an interview with his father, which he videoed for me, I took the words from his interview with his dad, and I did what's known as a found poem to create a poem called No Team Wins Every Game. So ultimately, this is the words of a 12-year-old boy called Finton. But through found poetry, I've created this. Keep your eye out for it. It's on TV at the moment. This is called No Team Wins Every Game. When I was 10, I'd play football on my own in the back garden, and sometimes at school. But I'd get angry when we'd lose or when people wouldn't pass, and I'd storm off. It took a while to find a proper team that understood me, but we did. And I listened to my coaches, learned new skills, and discovered that no team wins every game. No player scores with every shot. But most importantly, I learned how to lose as well as win. I'm 12 now, and I've seen my team progress. So when my mates make mistakes, I don't get angry, I help them up. And we carry on. Another chance will come. I like the voices of young people. I'm going to read you some. This is called Ryan's Lament. I like to inhabit the heads of 15-year-old lads and see what the world's like and try and see what it's like. And this is one character I've got called Ryan, who lives in Blakely, who lives in a high-rise. Unlike a lot of our kids, he's lost. This is called Ryan's Lament. I hold my hand up high for help. It never comes. A fear that breeds so deep within my broken sleep and living dreams, where no one sees or hears my calls, my plea for peace, I slowly bleed. I battle through each passing day that goes so slow, I never seem to know which way to go or where to turn. My life upturned from birth, absurd and blurred, I slur my words in hope, and hold my hand up high for help. It never comes amidst these angry screams, like slapping hands or punching fists. My back, my sides, my ribs, they never stop. They never seem to miss. Each tearing strips inside, I'm torn and rip. I punch and kick, I am continually hit. I need to feel warm rays of sun upon my face. This cold pouring rain can't wash away these tears, these stains inside, this bruise inside from where I cannot hide. I'll cry tonight from head to toe. I've died inside, behind my eyes that weep. A sadness seeps, a slow release. This pool too full to hold this weight, this depth, this breath I breathe. A mass that drains and soaks the cheek, quick wipe with cuff or sleeve. No one must see. No one must see this sad release. The anger bursts, erupts inside with punching fists and kicking feet. I beat myself for being weak. I bash my head upon the floor, the walls, the door. I cannot live like this no more. This hate, this pain, too much, this loss, this fight, this mind entwined within itself. The past that tells. I hold my hand up high for help. It never comes. No answers to all questions. Asked and asked and asked, a truth that never lasts, that comes and goes, that hangs and hums within this air, within this sky that holds my thoughts, my dreams, my tears, my slow release. A wave upon a beach that washes up upon a shore but leaves the things it does not need so it can breathe and grow and crash and last. I hold my hand up high for help. It never comes, so I must retreat. I must retreat, I must cast away my simple dreams and swim within this stormy sea alone. No hand to hold, no cheek to kiss, no arm around my shoulder. Soul, my skin, my blood, my flesh, my bones that no one wants, that no one wants or shows the slightest thought. This soul, this weight, this heart, I hold it, I feel it beat so fast. I'm so cold, it cannot last. I need to feel the peace, the warmth, the sleep, the endless sea so deep where no one sees or hears my call, my plea for peace. I weep. Tour with John Cooper Clarke. We've travelled the world. It's an honour. I play in front of thousands and thousands of people each year, and it's an honour to spend time with the man and in his world, live in his world. We were in New York a few years ago, and I had to get Johnny to Coney Island no matter what happened, and it was hard work, but I got him there. And I wrote this as soon as we got home. It's called Coney Island Evening Sunshine. Candy frost and hot dogs, buckets of ketchup, mustard by the trough, clams and shrimps, and ice cream. This the American dream. Powerlessly, mankind promenade, pushchair proud, coconut shy, hook a fucking duck, shoot the woman in the face, win a goldfish in a plastic see-through bag for the kid. Everything's size, everything's hurting. As our long shadows stretch and curve like 1950s swirling fonts and cross-dressing hookers fishing for compliments. Thunderdome, cyclone, all the fun of the fair. Neither fun nor fair. Read this article recently about a special kind of relationship counselling. This is the worst poem I've ever done in my life, to be quite honest, because it just makes the whole audience hate my guts. I've done it live, and I've just seen the audience just go, I don't want nothing to do with this guy. I don't want to go anywhere near this. But I read this article one day about relationship counselling and a special kind whereby you go in, you sit down and you don't talk. You just stare into each other's eyes for an hour. And I thought, 90 quid. And then I got to thinking in my cheeky way, imagine if you did that game when you were a kid as well, whereby first one to blink, right? But the first one to blink isn't the loser in this situation. The first one to blink is it takes two to tango, Mike. When the first one to blink is the one who takes two to tango, though, doesn't it? Sometimes. This is called blink game. It's also written under the belief that we hate the person we love the most. But I also want to ask the question, have you ever wished them dead? It's called blink game. Ever played the blink game? You know, it's where you sit face to face with the person that you love and stare deep down without shifting your gaze, without looking away. And the loser, first one to blink. You should play. They say you get to know a lot by staring deep down, escaping the violence and the noise of the crowd. How in silence you can rekindle your love for each other, get to see through all the past and get to see their true colours. What they reckon is this, that beyond the milky whiteness of each bead, each eye, each lash and each brow, you can get to see the person that you fell in love with, but what they're like right now. So while you sit and watch pupils dilate, you can rekindle the excitement of your first date. Oh, great. And how you looked ace, and how you were late, and then I start to irritate and itch, but you still get a chance to retaste the flavour of your first kiss. That smell, the softness of those lips. But then I start to agitate and irritate and itch, and lids begin to itch, and liquid starts to swish, and you want to blink, but you want to win, so you pray your loved one will give in, because you know the first one to blink is probably the first one to admit that it hasn't always been like this. No, it hasn't always been like this. Yes, once they loved you honest and so true that they'd have taken a bullet for you, but over time things have become blurred. An absence of certain words. Love slow drained, and you're in pain and your eyes strained, and you want to blink, but then you remember those rules becoming disturbed. That time you went back on your words. When the preset silent boundaries and rules were broken, and those stinging lids are now reminding you of all those words unspoken, and when the patterns of behaviour set in, and when you start to commit the first of your many sins, all the white lies and the white lines and the white lies and white lies about that girl and that guy and that girl and that guy and that time. And that time, you belittled and accused, left a bruise, never went away. This ain't lid off the toothpaste. Milk left out the fridge. These are the fundamentals, the very basics. Is that tears in your eyes? Have you only just realised? Oh, what a waste. What a waste of time. Water in a saucepan on a very low light. A star that starts by burning bright, but then burns out and dies. You no longer dread them going away. No longer sit alone for days in pain, red-faced in front of open fires. You actually start to enjoy the freedom it provides, all that space to breathe and all that time to think, and your hatred slow grows and spreads like the blue ink in the blood, and sometimes you secretly wish that they would go away real far, on a plane or in a car, And deep down, inside, you wish that car or plane would collide and crash. And yeah, you'd dutifully cry, but you'd be free at last. Free at last. Free at last. Now blink. I've got 3 minutes left, so I'll read one more poem. I'll talk to you about my books for a sec. I've got 3 books. This was my first book. It's called Mancunian Meander. It's a journey around Manchester in poetry. I might read you a little bit of that. This is my second book. It's called God is a Manc. These are all usually audible from my website, but me and Lucy went to check it before and it didn't seem to be there anymore. It's called Anti-Marketing. Please email me if you want any of my stuff, books, anything. I'll sign them for you. My email's mikegarry@hotmail.com. I know I was in early. I'm old. Please check that out. Buy my books, man. I've not worked for ages. Come on. Make me rich. No, don't make me rich. You'll make me a tenner. I'd love to say it's been ace, but I don't know what it's been like. I'm talking on a computer screen. Finish with this. I wrote this book 25 years ago. It's a journey around Manchester. I get to Didsbury. Didsbury. My perceptions of Didsbury 25 years ago. It's called Beards. Southern Cemetery is the place to put a smile on your face. Goodwin's take me down to Didsbury with maximum ace because I've seen too much sadness from Gorton all the way around. Goodwin's take me down to Didsbury, where the people are more sound, less uptight, not all eyes twitchy or all intense. Goodwin's take me down to Didsbury, pounds, shillings and pence, because it's leafy green and it's Harris Tweed. I've heard there's dogs with coats on and cats and leads, and avenues and streets are always clean, and the rents and mortgages totally obscene. The kind of place where rich students, mums and dads, by the kids design a chilling pads for the kids to chill in and for the kids to grinning. Who you fucking grinning at, says the Burnage boy in his baseball cap, snide Ralph Lauren outside, faded jean, Adidas two-stripe, really keen. Leave it, Jason, he's a fucking queer, says Naomi, slipping her tongue into Jason's ear and running her fingers through his peroxide hair, but it's at the grinning man that Jason lustily stares as a volley of punches knocks the grinner to the floor as Jason gets off home to lock his wardrobe door, and the pub's effervescent. Fat men and women with beards, Tash's dripping Cameron recommended beers, proudly boasting of their outdoor pursuits, bright Berghaus at weekends, but weekdays a suit. I ran the Pennine Way last week, ran my 4x4 through mud 4 foot deep. My decree, nice eye, arrived last Wednesday. Another pint of old peculiar mate, or are you calling me one of those peculiar mates? On Thursdays, it's Granny's fashion parade, Prozac and brandy chased by Lucasade. It's a trip out with a reason, whatever the season we're in. Ornate hats and shoulder pads and bright red lipstick towed by accessorized cats as they're pouting and posing through the village catwalk streets, rubbing shoulders with bright Bennett on beauties, squeaky clean. 500 queen mothers stoned and smiling, squeaky clean. Stones smiling and waving at all the passers-by. 500 queen mothers voguing one straight line in the direction of the post office, but not to tax the civil list, but to cash in the vouchers and go on the piss, because they're ignored by the kids for most of the year. Now they sit in a rotting real estate alone in paralysed by loss and fear. So on Thursdays, the grannies dress up and have their say. Grey power in Didsbury on pension day, while stressed 30-somethings in Volkswagen automobiles scream raucously at the kids, gripping tightly at the wheels. Late for work, got no fags, totally wired. 24 hours a day can leave you totally tired. The two tots are harnessed to chairs in the back because nappies, bags and bottles crush tiny laps. But the screams and cries that come from the rear is due to Martin Knopfler's guitar solo, piercing young ears and the prospect of a day of the trainee nursery nurse in an aesthetically pleasing nursery where the managers curse, toys sit high on shelves and children fall off chairs, but it's the trainee nursery nurse who's pulling out her hair. There seems to be a lot of bigoted attitudes and fat C2s who are audibly rude to outsiders who like to drink here at night as locals prod and force them to fight. Then complain to Officer Dibble right into the night. There's a big fear that outsiders are trying to take over. The two words seem to go together. Didsbury and xenophobia. My screen seems to have gone totally dark. I just hope you're all still there, because if not, my reading for the last 10 minutes would have been a total waste of time. How was that, Lucy? All right?
Yeah, that's great. It's beautiful, Mike. It's so nice to hear you doing it live. It's just, we're getting some great comments back and stuff as well. People
I didn't off too much, did I?
No.
I just worked on the basis I was pretty much on my own and just practicing. Yeah. I hope that wasn't too bad for the audience. I hope it came across all right as a kind of relaxed kind of Mike reading things you wouldn't normally read.
Well, I can't speak for everybody else, but for me, it was just like, you know, having a one-to-one audience of it, which was great, to be fair. It was, we've got somebody else here coming in, Daisy, saying it was brilliant. We've had different people. Yeah, it's just, we're getting really nice comments coming through it. So, yeah, that's been great. Can I just ask you a couple of questions? Just you know, people are a bit shy sometimes, so we may not get questions from people watching. But, yeah, basically, it's just, it's been a weird year, as we said before. We've not really had much performing opportunities and all that kind of stuff. But has it given you a chance to work on some new stuff?
Yeah, do you know what? It's going to sound really bad, this, but I've kind of liked it.
Yeah.
Kind of liked the isolation. I've kind of liked the opportunity to, you know, all them things that artists said they're going to do. When I get an opportunity, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I hope there's a lot of art coming out in the next 12 months because we've had those opportunities. You know what I mean? We should have been up off our ass and doing it instead of moaning about the price of SEISS.
Very true.
It's been great. No, it's not been great. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. People have lost people. I'm so sorry if you. I don't mean that. I mean selfishly for me as an artist, it's been great. I've lived in the middle of nowhere. I've written loads of stuff. I've done loads with my quartet. I've spent time with my kids when these times wouldn't have happened otherwise. You know what I mean? My kids are old, you know what I mean? They're all grown up, and I wouldn't have had 3 weeks and 2 months and things like that with the kids. Would I? You know what I mean? That's been really special, really, really special and really important for me. It's opened a new word, consequences. You know what I mean? It's a consequence of our behaviour in lots of ways. You know what I mean? Our behaviour's been shit. We've got to pay. I'm sorry to be God bothering and all that. I'm not God bothering, but somehow our results, and I'm not God bothering, our spirit's gone a bit curdled, and the consequences of things like this, you know what I mean? There's no pestilence anymore or plagues of, well, there is, it's one.
Yeah, well, we've made a perfect environment, haven't we? We've made a global society. We're crossing the boundaries. We're shifting evolution faster than it should be. You know, it's going to happen, isn't it?
I'm selling cars to 8-year-old kids. You know what I mean?
I never realised that football one was yours. My apologies. I didn't know that.
Fintons, I just took his words and just rearranged it and just put it into. It's little Fintons, man. It's little Fintons. Not little Fintons. He's a young man. He's a beautiful young man. Have you seen it? Have you seen it? Have you seen the film? Have you seen the ad?
Yeah. It's good. It's been on quite a bit, actually. I've seen it on the telly. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and with something like that, do you often do found pieces, or you know, in terms of the way you work, how is that?
it's a bit of a by any means necessary sometimes. When you, well, I'm laughing as if I'm winging it a bit, but sometimes it is about by any means necessary. And I'm there with 3,000 people, and I think, what have I got here? What have I actually got here? And I have some gems amongst those 3,000 people, but I kept going back to Finton, but the interview wasn't quite. I couldn't get anything from the interview, so then I thought, just found it. Just make a found poem from his interview. Just take his words and string them out in the sense of a poem, like he's delivering a poem. You know what I mean? And it worked. It worked. But the words were his words. That's what art is, though, isn't it? You know what I mean? Is art the words, or is art the idea to have a go at it?
Yeah. Oh, so we've got somebody asking a question here. Outside of Manchester area, what other physical places do you find inspiration? Which you're not actually in Manchester at the minute, are you?
Louise making. It's got nothing to do with geography, to be honest. Manchester's just got nice names. It's got a good. And I'm quite serious when I say that. I know people will say, "Well, why is it called Bancuda Meander? Why is it called God is a Bank?" Because that's just where the spirit is. It's about where we're at, not where we are. There's cities like this all over the place. Belfast massively inspires me. I love going to Belfast. I went there loads. I still go there when I get an opportunity. I've played there loads of times with John. New York's an amazing city. I love going to New York. I love spending time in New York. I've got lots of friends in New York who I've worked with and who I've been inspired by, and I've been loved by. Cities. I love Redcar. I love Allen Heads in the. I love Allen Heads Art Centre in the Northumbria Park thing, the C2C challenge. Daisy, I'm inspired by it all. I can't hang around and go around places and go, oh, I've got to go somewhere. I'm inspired. I've got a bloody job to do. I can't hang around looking for inspiration. It's got to be there all the time.
Yeah.
You can breathe it. And you do that, don't you? You know what I mean? It does your brain in. It totally makes you mentally ill. But
well, it's not a content life, is it?
Being an artist?
Yeah.
No, you're constantly head wrecked, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's one thing that the pandemic has done to me. As an artist, as a kid who grew up in Moss Side, Russia and Fallowfield like I did, went to sorts of schools that I did, for me to become an artist is just a million miles away from anything I'd imagine. So I've constantly got that little man going, artist, are you taking the piss? Who do you think you are? Who do you actually think you are, an artist? And I'm like that to myself. No, I am an artist. I do loads of gigs. I do this, I do it on stages. The validation of doing a show, the audience, the vibe you get from a show, is really important to me. So I've lost that validation. So this man's here, he's quite loud at him at the moment. I'm battering him. I'm getting him down and saying, nah. I'm getting him down and keeping him down there because I get validation from things like this and people asking me to do things and lovely things and going into schools and that
stuff. Imposter syndrome, isn't it? A lot of people have, but it's crazy, but it's.
I'd worry if it wasn't there.
Yeah. Sure.
I'd worry if it wasn't there.
Yeah. Well, I'm just seeing there's another comment come in. Here we go. Which is the all-time favourite poem you wrote, Mike?
The last one. The last one I wrote. What was the last one? The all-time favourite poem I wrote.
Yeah.
Is what was the last one I wrote? I got a new book. The all-time favourite poem I ever wrote is this one. It's the one I wrote this morning in my new book. When you get a new book, you always open it and you go, I'm gonna do a murder poem man from a new page. Always shit. Always rubbish. Always rubbish. Who asked the question? You're getting me new poem today that I've written this morning. This is my favourite poem of all time I've ever written.
Brilliant.
The first page is always wasted. One's efforts to make it stand out usually results in a disastrous, overwritten rhyme. But not this time. This will be an epic. In anthologies worldwide, translated into 250 languages and studied by literature students for the next 1,000 years. For this poem answers the questions to the meanings of life. It quenches sadness and loss.
Beautiful. I think that's a good note to end on.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks.
Buy me books.
Oh, hold on, I'll put that on again as well so people know where to get it from. There's Mike.
Dedicating to people. Christmas is only 6 months away. Someone's birthday's going to be around the corner any minute. Any minute you watch, you don't want to be turning up at people's houses going, oh, I forgot Sandra's birthday. Start him now. Let's lock them in for those special days. Thank you, Andrew Durant. Thanks for coming up.
And thank you, Mike, from all of us. We've had about 30 people in total tonight watching. So that's a nice house of people watching, definitely. It's great to see live stuff happening. We've got more of them coming up, but
it's really good. And for it to be free as well is so important. And for people just to buy a book, to sort of like, as I say, thank you.
You've got to feed yourself.
Yeah. What do you mean I'm drinking Chateau Neuf de Pape here? I couldn't do Didsbury Arts Festival without having a good reading. Come on.
Definitely.
God love yous, everyone. I'm going before I get arrested.
Thank you, and good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye-bye.